This is the most frustrating part about being a Scrum Master. You know that moment in a meeting when you ask a simple question and the silence is so loud that it could fill a stadium. Cameras off, mics muted, and you're left wondering if your team is even there. I've been there, and trust me, it's one of the most frustrating situations that you can face. And let me tell you, disengagement is the silent killer of productivity. But why does this happen? Why do teams disengage? I'm glad you asked. It's not because they're lazy or unmotivated. It's because something deeper is at play. And in this video, we're going to tackle the unspoken reason why teams lose interest and, more importantly, what you can do to bring them back to life. Here's the thing. Disengagement isn't a failure of effort. It's a failure of connection. Maybe the team doesn't feel heard, or maybe they're burnt out, overwhelmed, or just unsure of how their work fits into the bigger picture. Whatever the reason, it's your job as the Scrum Master to uncover it and to turn things around. So how do you do that? Let me share with you a story. There's a time that I joined a team that felt like they were running on fumes. Every sprint planning session felt like pulling teeth. People would nod along, mumble agreements, and then disappear into their work without really engaging. The problem wasn't their skills or dedication. It was that they didn't feel connected to the product or to each other. So here's what I did. I started small. Instead of diving straight into backlog items, I kicked off our meetings with a simple question. What's one thing that you're excited about this week? It had absolutely nothing to do with work, but it broke the ice. And slowly, the silence began to fade. And by the third sprint, the team was actively identifying risks and collaborating on solutions before I even asked. This wasn't even just about breaking the silence, but was about building trust. Because when teams feel safe to speak up, when they know that their ideas wouldn't be dismissed or ignored, they start to engage. They stop seeing meetings as obligations, but start seeing them as opportunities. And it doesn't stop there. Building an engaged team means going beyond icebreakers. It means actively involving every voice in the room. Too often, we rely on the loudest people to carry on the conversation whilst the quiet voices gets drowned out. Over the years, one of the things I've realized is that some of the best ideas comes from those who speaks the least, and they're just waiting on the right moments to share. I've once had a developer who rarely spoke up in meetings, and one day, after a particularly quiet sprint planning session, I messaged him quietly. I said, I noticed that you're quiet today. If there's anything on your mind, feel free to share with me. And what happened next changed everything. They pointed out a dependency that we had completely overlooked. This was a detail that saved us from sprint derailment. That's the power of creating space for everyone to contribute. It's not just about solving the immediate problem, but fostering a culture where everyone feels empowered to speak up. Of course, it's not always smooth sailing. Every team has who I refer to as a John, someone who tends to dominate all discussions, and managing these personalities takes finesse. Instead of shutting them down, I found it more effective to redirect their energy. A simple, thanks for sharing, John. Can we hear from someone else? Something like this could go a long way in creating balance within the team. And finally, don't be afraid to bring some fun into your sessions. Meetings don't always have to feel like a chore. I've used everything from emoji ratings of backlog items to quick games to light up the mood. It might seem trivial, but these small gestures could make a huge difference in team engagement. So the next time that you're faced with silence in a meeting, don't see it as a failure, but as an opportunity to build trust, foster collaboration, and to create a space where everyone can contribute and feel valued. Because when teams are engaged, they don't just complete tasks, they thrive. If you're interested in some of the strategies that I've used to engage my teams in the past, you can check out my personal notes, which contains all my tips and tricks that I've used to engage my teams. You can check it out on my website.